Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, after 3 weeks of chaos, the U.S. House finally has a speaker who was sworn in by Congressman Hal Rogers. And as the Israeli air assault in Gaza continues, the humanitarian crisis gets worse.
Plus, we are mild on Thursday, but some chilly weather is on the way for next week. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. It has taken more than 3 weeks and multiple candidates, but Republicans have united behind one man, and the U.S. House of Representatives has finally elected a new Speaker of the House. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from Capitol Hill.
Therefore, the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson accomplished something 3 other nominees before him were unable to do: unite House Republicans and claim the gavel as Speaker of the House.
We are ready to get to work again to solve those problems, and we will.
Johnson won the chair after holding on to his conservative principles while still winning over the moderates.
We have to sacrifice sometimes our preferences because that's what's necessary in a legislative body. But we will defend our core principles to the end.
Johnson's record shows he voted against certifying the 2020 presidential election, voted against legalizing same-sex marriage, and in May, he voted against a Ukraine aid package. Johnson's vote against Ukraine aid could be put to the test almost immediately, as President Biden is asking Congress for more than $100 billion to fund the war in Ukraine, provide military aid to both Israel and Taiwan, and strengthen the U.S. southern border.
There's divided support in the Republican conference. I don't think we ought to bring a Ukraine bill that doesn't have majority Republican support.
Congress also has about 3 weeks to pass a new spending bill to keep the government open. Several House conservatives are opposed to any short-term deal unless it includes deep spending cuts.
We are honored to have seen Speaker Johnson put out his plan for government funding, and the words continuing resolution are not a part of that plan.
As Speaker, Johnson will have a large say over how the spending bills get passed. No bill can come to the floor without the new Speaker's approval. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Former President Trump, who supported Johnson's candidacy, posted on social media that Johnson will make a great Speaker of the House. Johnson was one of the lawmakers defending Trump during House impeachment hearings. Not only did Congressman Hal Rogers play a part in Representative Mike Johnson being voted in as Speaker of the House, as Dean of the House, the Kentucky congressman swore in the Louisiana Republican this afternoon. Here's what Rogers had to say about the new House Speaker.
Well, I think this new Speaker will be good for Kentucky. He is a Southerner, obviously, and is a conservative constitutionalist. What more could you ask for?
Rogers added when the House gets back to business, he wants to finish the appropriations bills to fund the government before it shuts down. President Biden's pick for U.S. ambassador to Israel is moving closer to being confirmed. A Senate panel advanced Jack Lew's nomination out of committee this morning. The vote was 12-9 on a party line vote, except for Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul, who voted with Democrats in favor of his nomination. Other Republican senators opposed Lew's involvement with the nuclear deal with Iran when he served in the Obama administration. It's day 2 of key testimony in former President Donald Trump's civil trial in New York. Trump's one-time attorney and fixer Michael Cohen is a star witness. He confirms prosecutors' claims that Trump fraudulently inflated his net worth. A key development in the testimony is Cohen's admission he lied under oath in 2018. The New York Attorney General is seeking $250 million in damages from Trump. She also wants to bar him from doing business in New York. State court records indicate the off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot accused of trying to cut off a plane engine's mid-flight told police he took, quote, magic mushrooms 48 hours before the incident. Joseph Emerson also told investigators he believed he was dreaming and thought pulling the handles of a fire extinguishing system would cause him to wake up. In a separate federal court document, Emerson also said he had been awake for 40 hours. An attorney for Sam Bankman-Fried says the fallen tech mogul plans to take the stand in his own defense. His team says it intends to call 3 witnesses. Then the FTX founder is set to defend himself sometime in the coming days. He is charged with 7 counts of federal fraud related to the collapse of his cryptocurrency empire. Actor Jonathan Majors' assault case will go to trial. Today, a New York judge denied a motion to dismiss the charges against the Marvel star. They are related to a dispute with his girlfriend, Grace Jabari, in March. In a complaint, Jabari claims Majors struck her, quote, about the face with an open hand, causing substantial pain and a laceration behind her ear. Majors has maintained his innocence. The stated range of Tesla's electric vehicles may not be very accurate. The Justice Department is investigating the EPA's estimates of how far Tesla models can go on a single charge. It comes after Consumer Reports found the Model Y only went 274 miles as opposed to the EPA's stated range of 326 miles. It is well known that electric vehicles get fewer miles to the charge in cold weather, but Consumer Reports performed its tests when it was warm outside. Obamacare is getting more expensive next year. A report from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services shows the cost of the Silver Plan on the Federal Affordable Care Act exchange will increase 4% in 2024. That matches the increase from this year. But most consumers should be shielded from the increasing costs through government subsidies. About 80% of enrollees should be able to find a plan for $10 or less a month.
We are tracking some nice weather across the mountains into your Wednesday evening. Here's a live look right now from the WYMT studio, and you can see we are dry under plenty of blue sky. That temperature also comfortable at this hour. We are well above average. We should be in the middle to upper 60s. Most of us right now in the middle to upper 70s, up to 77 for Jackson, 79 for Manchester, and 76 over in London, also Pikeville at this hour. So we are mild out there, and more mild weather is on the way into your Thursday as well, and really into the weekend as high pressure does continue up on the radar. We are dry, and as we zoom out, you can see that high pressure at work over parts of the eastern coast, and that is blocking all the rain to our north, also to our west. Also tracking the first snowstorm of the season over portions of Montana, also North Dakota, but that will also stay well to the north and west of us. As we go into tonight, we stay dry and not as cool. Those lows back in the upper 40s and lower 50s as you wake up on Thursday, but some chilly weather is on the way by next week, all thanks to a cold front. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. Israel says its strikes on Gaza have killed Hamas militants and destroyed some of their tunnels and command centers. But the air assault has also created an escalating humanitarian crisis. Hamas has released 4 hostages so far, and as CBS's Tina Kraus reports, there are hopes for continued negotiations.
U.S. officials tell CBS News Israel has delayed its ground invasion into Gaza, possibly to allow more time for negotiations to free the hostages. The Qatari Foreign Ministry is taking the lead on those talks, reporting progress is ongoing. Hamas continues to hold more than 200 people kidnapped during its terror attacks on southern Israel.
Israelis and Palestinians.
President Biden reiterated his support for Israel, but said Israelis and Palestinians deserve to live side by side in safety.
That means ensuring Hamas can no longer terrorize Israel and use Palestinian civilians as human shields.
The Israel Defense Forces gathered dozens of foreign journalists to show 46 minutes of gruesome video from the Hamas invasion. The footage is too graphic to show here. Some has already been released in edited versions, including the murder of entire families.
The IDF says it showed us that video so the world understands its airstrikes on Gaza. They say it's not about revenge, it's about making sure there's never another October 7th.
We were caught by surprise, but now we are united and we are going to destroy Hamas as long as it takes.
More than 2 weeks of relentless airstrikes have created an escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Thousands have died, including civilians caught in the crossfire. Are they the enemies, asks this man, pointing to his wounded son. Hamas has also continued its attacks, shooting another barrage of rockets over the border. Israel says militants have fired nearly 8,000 of them since the start of the conflict. Tina Kraus, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
In a news conference today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu again urged Gaza's civilians to head to the south. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, with the crisis ongoing in the Middle East, many folks are looking for ways to send money. But it's important to verify the legitimacy of the charity before doing that. Tips on how to spot potential scams before you donate.
And dry weather continues for now, but some changes are on the way. Those details coming up.